Welcome to the After Codes podcast.
Subscribe now! Hello guys, welcome back to After Codes. As you see, we didn't take a 1 week break again, so we're here again. And today we have Ayo with us. Hello. Ayo, how are you doing?
I'm very good. And you? How are you guys?
We're good.
No, we're great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ayo, for coming today.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me finally.
Yes.
It's been a very
we have
journey.
a weird podcast history. Don't
we do, guys.
You can explain it. You can explain it.
You want me? You want me to explain
you
it? Okay.
explain it.
Because I was a bit mad at us.
Yeah, I just.
Yeah, for good reason.
Are you sure?
Reason, I think. Okay. So you know how there's after codes. Carlo, do you know this?
No.
You don't.
I've heard about it, but I feel like you shouldn't be mad at me because I wasn't.
I'm not mad at you.
Okay,
I'm mad at them.
Okay, that's fair.
You didn't even have the decency to tell Carlo.
Oh, well.
No, I mean, we did.
Okay, let me tell you. Okay, so Carlo and the rest of the crowd, everyone, before After Codes, there was, drumroll.
What was it named? No, don't bang the table.
Okay, no banging. So invisible, drumroll. Before After Codes, there was Sign Off. Do you remember that?
So
I don't remember the name, to be honest.
Do we have a name?
What? It was Sign Off. I can show you the group chat. We made a group chat. We came here.
Yeah.
Me and Teo, we came here.
Oh,
and,
that is true.
Yeah, and Sam Mazzarella showed. Am I allowed to say it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was called Sign Off. You're right.
Yeah. And he showed us how to do everything on the
computers.
Yeah, and stuff like that. And
so,
we were planning an episode. It was towards the end of school.
Yeah, that was the problem.
Yeah,
the problem was that it was towards the end of school, so we didn't really have time.
End of second term, right?
Yeah.
It was the end of second term.
And then by the time I came back, guess what I saw? I saw a QR code on the door. After Codes Pod. I was like, oh, who is this? This must be nice. And I, and then it's Teo, it's Michael Machinga, and then it's Carlo.
Well,
I was replaced with Carlo. But it's fine. It's not a problem.
I think we need to do some explaining here because
Carlo
came to us with the initiative of starting a podcast. We were like, we're thinking of doing that.
Okay.
And then we were like,
very sporadically.
He took on the initiative, so we were like, we're gonna join him.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my fault.
No, it's not.
It's not Carlo's fault. You could have told me, but you didn't tell me.
I mean, end of story. There was no transparency for either there.
Yeah, and I was very,
we're very sorry,
pained.
Ayo.
I was
but
very
you're
pained.
here and now, and it's all good.
This is our apology.
It's all good.
So to kick this episode off,
now that we cleared that up.
Ayo, would you like to introduce yourself to the listeners and people that don't know who you are?
Okay, I can do that. What do you want me to say?
Name, age, country of origin,
favorite color and stuff.
Whatever.
Social security number.
That works.
Everything.
Okay, I'm Ayo.
And the 3 numbers at the back.
Exactly.
I can. It's 5, 9.
Okay.
I'm joking.
Okay.
So my name is Ayo. It's Ayodamope, and I'm 18. It's kind of weird to say 18 because I just turned 18 a few weeks ago. And it's like it hasn't settled yet in my brain that I'm not okay. Yeah, and I'm from Nigeria, which is cool.
Which city?
I live in Lagos.
Okay.
Lived there my whole life, and what else? That's bright. It's really nothing much to me.
Cool. There's more, but we're gonna delve into it later.
We're gonna delve into
Did you get any dirt from Sasha? I heard that
we got something.
A little bit of research done.
No, don't worry about it.
Did you research me?
No.
This is the opening question. What do you think about AR art?
So what do you think about computers making
making art and then people being like, oh yeah, that's cool. It's better.
Do you think it's art?
I think. Well, that's a tough question. No,
because isn't there an added value always from the human making the art?
Oh,
which
yeah,
is why
definitely.
The reason it's art.
Yeah, I think that.
Do you think it's ethically, like, do you think it's ethical or do you think it's unethical? Because the way in which it works is basically like, you know how it like learns from other artists like
Yeah,
real
yeah.
work.
So it like not,
So
not
it's like
steals,
stealing?
but it's like derivative work all
Uh-huh.
the time. But it's like, but you can say that other people get inspired from other people as well.
I feel like Michael, you're like pro like AI in a way, right? You
Yeah, I'm so pro, bro.
you're
I mean,
such
Okay,
a
the
Michael
nerd.
thing
is
is,
a big
okay,
technology
let me
nerd. He has a bigger Apple ecosystem than I do.
I don't think there's a problem with AI art being art.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with AI artists,
All
if
right.
that makes sense.
So you don't
calling
artists.
themselves
Alright.
artists, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Have you tried any like AI tools in terms of arts? Because you're an art student here. I know you're very interested in visual arts and like any. I think other art forms as well, right?
Dancing.
Stand- yeah.
Oh yeah. I do
So yeah, like have you ever tried any?
that. Not really. I had this one app on my phone to like make AI art,
Yeah.
like turn your photos into AI art. But it wasn't really. I wasn't very impressed. I'm not gonna lie. It's really cool, but like.
I mean, I guess it takes some element of like imagination away, because
Yeah, it
obviously
does,
you
it
always have your
does.
own interpretation of what an image really could looks like, and when AI does it for you,
Yeah.
there's no element of imagination. It's just basically math,
Yeah.
and that's obviously not something new, I guess. And if you do a new artwork, it's unique, and if
I
something in a AI does it, it's not really unique, I guess.
I mean, it's a lot similar to. Okay, so the real problem I have is
Okay.
modern art. I think it's
Okay.
stupid as hell.
Okay.
What classifies as modern art?
Have you
Duchamp.
Like
So have you
like
seen
digital
the-
art or
have you
No.
no not
Oh,
digital
no.
art, but like if you see a lot of like modern artists, like if you've who's in Graham's like
Yeah, like
it's
the MoMA
Yeah.
It's
museum.
like Andy
abstract,
Warhol.
oh,
abstract.
abstract.
Andy Warhol, he's pretty new to
he's
the game.
isn't he dead?
Oh,
Yeah, he's dead, I
Is
think.
yeah, but that's
Yeah.
still like 20th
Yeah.
century. So
Yeah,
that's pretty
I'm
new.
trying to find someone new.
So what do you mean modern? Okay.
When I say modern art, I mean arts that's like like I splash some paint on a canvas,
Oh,
and then I
okay.
call it art.
So
and
the
then
abstract,
or like
like
a
bullshit.
banana duct
Okay.
taped to a wall.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
That's
okay.
kind of stupid, in my opinion.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
it's kind of disrespectful.
Okay, so then, like, I mean, like, there are like famous artists who like, so then you would say, but then like artists like Banksy, for example.
No, Banksy's talented.
No. I mean, but that's something completely different then from what
Yeah.
you mean then.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
something you admire, I guess. Then.
Yeah, one thing I appreciate in art is not necessarily like how pretty it looks,
Mm-hmm.
but when you can see that there was time and effort
Yeah.
put into
100%.
it,
And
that's really
skill
good.
and what do you
because
think of it?
for you to classify yourself as an artist, first of all, you have to have skill.
Yeah,
You
of
can't
course.
just like
You can't just like
produce something and then sell it.
I couldn't produce something and sell it.
Me
Not-
neither.
Yeah, like
skill.
you know those like the boxes and like the
Yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah
Where they go like over the painting like this.
yeah,
and
it's
suddenly,
so
like,
stupid to me.
Yeah,
it's
it's-
really dumb.
yeah.
And a lot of like I know a lot of people don't really appreciate like traditional art nowadays.
Mhm.
Like so many people don't.
Yeah.
You know, like the painting and the.
Or like the old painters essentially. Like
No,
what do you
I mean, like they have very. So it's kind of. Art has a way of like it's kind of elitist, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Only a certain
amount
like,
of people.
group
can,
of people
Yeah.
tend to have access to it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And it's very hard to like a lot of people just don't have access to it.
It's also I guess hard to find a passion in art.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I mean my mom is very passionate in art and that's how I know things about art. But when I
Mhm.
was 6, I wasn't a fan of going to museums and going around
Fair
and
enough, yeah.
looking at the artworks. But now I think it's very interesting.
Yeah, it
So
is really interesting.
But some people might not have that like drive or like the
Mhm.
interest in art, which is obviously not everyone can inspire it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of these modern artists today, like everything seems so uniform. It seems so like it's almost like it's mass produced. You know, everyone
Yeah.
tries to do the splashing paint thing
Yeah.
on the canvas and try to sell it.
Yeah.
You know,
So it's
And
like
it-
it's so
it's like so easy. There's too
it
much of
doesn't-
it.
there's no life into it. There's no like
Can I
it's not.
That's true. But I have a follow-up question which relates.
Yeah.
Because then obviously I think there's some theories going around, because you said, for example, okay, if I would make an artwork now, let's just say I put, like, as I said, a duck and put a tape over it and then make it look fancy, and then I would put the price at, like, I don't know, 120,000 euros. Do you think that sometimes the price of an artwork does not really represent what it is, and then that therefore like a false hype gets created, and that other artworks then, for example, get put in shadow?
I feel like...
Do you understand my question?
I kind of understand your question. Yeah. It's like the price of an artwork tends to define how much value it has.
Yeah. Value in what sense? Of how much time is put into it, or how rare it is?
No, like how it's gonna be
viewed from other people.
Yeah, like how it's gonna be viewed, you know?
If it's gonna be renowned, if people will acknowledge it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but is it based on? Do you think it's based on the thought that's put into it, like what it represents as an art?
It doesn't really represent anything.
No, and also like the artist kind of dictates the price itself.
Yeah.
Like if I make an artwork, if I sell it at the auction, I can say it's $1 million. It's €1 million.
Yeah,
and no one can prove me wrong. Yeah.
Nobody can prove you wrong
because
then again, like our TOK question, art is art subjective?
Exactly.
You know, that it is subjective.
But if,
so it's kind of hard to, you know.
Yeah, that question is quite vague, as you say. But then, I mean, what parameters do you, as an art student, like what in which way do you look at a piece of art and go, okay, this is for me valuable, due to like these certain like aspects of the work? You know what I mean? Like, do you have any like? Okay, this is maybe like not the same question, but because you talked about how abstract art and modern art, in your opinion, can be like overhyped and overrated.
Yeah.
What is like your like aspiration or inspiration when it comes to art?
Okay, my own personal inspiration when it comes to art.
Yeah, I would say.
Okay, my personal inspiration when it comes to art is people. I love. Like, one thing I've always loved...
So you draw people,
I draw people.
Okay, wow, okay.
Yeah. One thing I've always loved, painting, drawing, like, the subject of most of my art pieces are people.
So it's portraits, or...
Kind of.
Okay.
Something like that.
Like,
a lot of, like, people inspire the works that I make.
Wow, okay. So, can you give me, like, an example of a work you've made of a person you might know?
So, if you've been to the art exhibition, have you been?
Yes, sir. Woo! I did drone footage of the exhibition.
Yeah, Michael was asked to fly a drone.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, Lucy wouldn't stop talking about it. But so there's.
I saw it. I really liked it. Well
done.
Thank you.
But do you have a painting?
Well, to be fair,
that's the one I was.
I saw it as well. To be fair.
Yeah. So there's this one painting that I did. It's called One Step Closer to Death. And it's the Yeva painting with goose and what is meant to be tamkin, but like because I didn't really finish and I got kind of
Fair enough.
So it's just a person. And when I painted that picture, I didn't like my creative process did not start when I started painting that picture. My creative process started when I took the picture, because I was at Yeva's birthday last year, when this was like a while, like last year, and I remember the whole scene just seemed so interesting to me, because a lot of the time when I go through life, I take pictures. I love taking pictures. I have like 20,000 pictures on my phone, and
that's quite
we've heard that you take people's phones and then like fill out their galleries with selfies. Is that right?
That's what people do to me.
Oh, okay.
So you draw them, obviously.
And so when I take a picture, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna paint this. I'm gonna draw this. And when I saw that scene, I was like, I need to paint this, and so I started painting that. And it's kind of like I started painting it like probably almost a year later. And it was so poetic to me how it's her birthday, but then again, she seemed so disconnected from the whole scene and from
like in that moment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, I want to be able to reflect that.
Yeah.
You know? And what is one thing that we all, because for all I know, she could be thinking about some crazy, like death. Because people do that on their birthday. Some people choose to see it as one step closer to death. And so that's why I named it that piece, like named that piece that, you know. And so that's one thing that I use to determine like how good a piece is.
So you value art in
that
terms
has
of
meaning behind it, and that has time. Like time was taken to create it. There's a inspiration behind it. There was a reason as to why it was created. You know.
But then, don't you think that connection there? In your case, of course, you know about it because you produce that art and that piece. But when you're consuming art in different forms, like how do you maybe like draw the line between like intention and just like like coincidence, you know? Because maybe it makes you feel a certain way, given like what you're looking at, but maybe that was not intention in the first place, or the feeling that went into it, you know?
Okay. I'm gonna give an example.
Yeah.
And this example may or may not answer your question. But you know the whole modern art thing?
Yeah.
Think Picasso. So he was really gifted. He had really great skill.
Ideas.
But if you look at some of his works towards his like Cubist era, it's like, I'm not gonna lie, it's not the most appealing. But then again, it had impact because it was like
disruptive.
It was the first of its time. Nobody had done stuff like that, you know. If you look at the self-portraits that he did as he progressed throughout his career, there's like they change. You know, he had different periods of his life where his art style completely changed, and then all of a sudden he had this Cubist art period where it's so fragmented, and it reflected his like transformation as an artist and how his whole like personality changed and how he was going through many different problems and issues. And so his Cubist work reflected his like fragmented identity, you know? And you can see the purpose behind it. It's not necessarily the prettiest, you know, but you can see the purpose behind it. A lot of these artists, what they do is that they copy that, you know. It is one thing to produce work, but then it's another thing to produce work with meaning. A lot of people, because they know that this is what sells, they will try to replicate something like that. And that's why if you look at a lot of stuff like architecture, it's the same kind of buildings you see. The soulless, white, plain, boxy looking, geometric kind of houses
squarey,
it's so ugly. But then again, it's what I'm sure somebody started it at some point, and this was like art, and it was beautiful, and it was ahead of its time. But now it's like a lot of these art forms are losing their like purpose, and their
does it lose purpose when there's too much of it, or
it's not? It's when people copy it. That's when
when you lose the meaning, you know, that went into it, and you just start replicating.
No, because obviously it's driven by what has been worked before.
And because a lot of these art forms are relatively easier to do, as compared to like these like realistic paintings that take time and effort, and you know, it's like almost seen as an easy way out. And you know what these like this does? It like it harms the jobs of actual artists, you know.
No, because it's obviously also always easier to replicate something in some way, shape, or form than to make something completely new. It's always harder. And speaking about artists, is that something you want to maybe do later on, or do you want to become an artist, or
do I want to be? Okay, so I had an epiphany like a while ago.
Can you say what an epiphany is for the people?
It's like
for Carlos language level.
It's like a
realization.
Something like that. And
I will add it to my flashcards of cool English words.
Real. And
what did you think about it?
So all this time I've like my whole life I've kind of been like I've been a creative, and I've always been like really good at school and stuff like that. And so I'm kind of good at math.
I'm not kind of. You're really good at math.
Yeah. And the whole STEM thing.
Yeah.
Before here, I took like physics, chem. I don't take bio.
Bio
Bio
sucks.
ops. I'm sorry.
I wouldn't recommend it either.
Yeah, I stopped in year 9 after I failed a test, a singular test, and I was like, I'm never doing this
A
again.
singular test stopped you
Yeah.
from pursuing
For
the subject.
bio.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What topic was it on?
I don't even remember. It was just like bio stuff, and this was like
Yeah.
5 years ago,
Mhm.
and so I stopped taking it. And then here I came here wanting to do like engineering stuff like that, so that's why I took physics HL, math HL, but then again art HL, because what if anything could happen.
Yeah, that's a good combo
Yeah.
though. I feel like they complement each other in
Yeah.
a way.
But now
Now
after
decision
like
point.
after so many, like, I don't want to do engineering again. Maybe a different kind, but not the one I wanted to do before.
Mhm.
It's too hard. It's just not my thing.
Mhm.
Fair enough.
I realized that I'm actually a creative, and every single, like, a lot of things kind of like screamed that out to me, that I'm a creative person, and that is what I want to be when I grow up, like a creative, not necessarily just an artist. I want to dance. I want to actually produce music at some point in my life.
Oh, la, la.
Yeah.
I want to
Wow.
make films. I want to also, again, do the art thing. I want to probably make like video games and stuff like that. I want to, whatever, like,
Yeah, creating.
yeah, just I
things.
want to
Yeah.
create things, and that's what I want to be when I grow up, a creative.
Mhm.
And that's my epiphany.
Can you study that?
Like, just study. I wish,
yeah,
I
yeah,
wish.
Yeah,
But
no,
then
but
again,
you
I'm
can't.
like, to a lot of the schools that I'm applying to, I'm applying for to do. So there's some schools that let you do like a dual degree program type.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just googled that if there's art engineering, if you can study it both
Yeah.
together, it's possible.
But
It is possible. So anywhere that allows me to do both,
mhm.
so
that's
art
why-
and engineering.
not necessarily engineering, but
Okay.
but literally anything that can let me do as many things as possible. Like, I personally don't think that I would be content knowing that I haven't like fulfilled every single
Right.
thing that
Yeah,
I could
no,
possibly
okay,
do.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So
But-
you, yeah, okay.
I'm low-key writing a book right now.
You're writing a book.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
cool.
What is it about, if we can ask? Just a
Okay,
brief-
okay.
Ju-
It's called
Crazy.
Thoughts of a Commoner. So you guys have heard it first. Might come out, might not.
It's the best-selling author. It was first on
After Codes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anybody tries to steal it, this is my evidence that it was me.
And what is
Me,
it
guys.
going to be about? Just
It's pretty
or
much
take?
like, so you know how, okay, so a lot of stuff, like, let's say like philosophy, a lot of different fields are kind of inaccessible to like the general public because of the big language that they use, or like even stuff like
biology.
pardon?
Like biology. Like if
yeah,
you,
biology.
If you don't like biology, you have no fucking
Yeah.
idea what it's about. Or physics.
But it kind of like, because there's so many big words and big confusing terminology that are like actively used to confuse people, to exclude people,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
that people don't understand it and they can't express certain things. Like even in like economics, you can't understand how the world works because you don't have access to that kind of knowledge. It's purposely made like that. And pretty much what this book is going to be about is like just telling everyone that, hey, by the way, this is what's going on. And
But in the
in this,
world,
like,
or
not necessarily in the world, but like as a commoner in the sense that I'm not like
Special.
like I'm not like fucking intellectual.
Yeah, yeah, I get what you mean.
I'm just like a regular person. That it's
That's
like
a nice word to use. Someone
Yeah.
asked me, and I should know I'm a commoner.
yeah,
That's a
no,
good word
commoner
to
is
use.
kind of maybe it's a bit too much, but it's like a yeah. I'm a regular person and I understand what is going on. I don't need it necessarily explained to me, you know.
fair enough.
And just saying all the the problems that they don't think you recognize. Yeah, those problems I recognize them. that kind of thing. It's just kind of it's a book.
It's a book.
I was kind of bored, so I was just
bored in the IB.
No, yeah.
Backtracking a little bit to when you were talking about careers, I found it like truly fascinating the way in which you explain how you want to like create stuff, and that stems from both like an artistic perspective, but also like side of like science-y perspective.
Yeah.
Like you know how like Virgil Abloh, who was a very prolific like fashion designer.
Yeah.
And like the guy studied like
architecture
and civil engineering.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Really?
So like I do think like, do you think because in my opinion, the way I see it, I feel like getting those tools, which sometimes are not like associated with like art, but instead they're like associated with like creative producing creative things instead of like I got lost, but the point is like, do you think maybe getting those tools in terms of like science and like studying science,
you can create cool stuff by taking engineering.
Oh, definitely.
Would you want to relate that maybe?
Yeah. Like,
would I
isn't
want
that
to?
also kind of a creative work in some way?
Oh yeah, it is creative work. Like a lot of stuff are creative. Like they involve art. And I don't think you can ever really separate the two. But yeah, like it would be cool. But then again, like if I do engineering, like just engineering, and then keep in mind, like at the back of my head, that but I'm still an art girly. I would be lying to myself.
Yeah, fair enough.
I would be
so
lying
much
to
effort
myself.
into learning engineering, and like you would make more money like working maybe. Like,
I'll remember you guys.
Yeah. No, I mean, but you would make more money.
And you have
I think you'll make more money working in like an engineering field than like art field. Maybe not. Maybe.
I mean, realistically speaking, probably. Like the odds are very, very weird. Like it is more likely for you to be financially successful being an engineer than it is for you being an artist. But then again, if you are successful as an artist,
you're more successful as
you probably make more money than an engineer.
Yeah.
It's just that the odds are very, very, very.
Yeah, but I mean,
so you're going for those
rewards.
So
exactly, high risk,
for those odds.
I mean, I told you I'm doing both, so it's like.
I mean, at some point in life you will have to choose.
So probably. But like I'm still young, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't have to choose now. I can choose tomorrow
So I guess
in 10 years.
So I guess my talk about math yesterday didn't convince you.
It did, bro. I told you I got into this one school for computational mathematics, which is kind of like I'm not doing that. No. Wait. I might, but I don't know. It's kind of too much.
I feel like that sometimes that like math and engineering is less likely to be learned outside of school than, for example, the creative work. You know, like if you take if you go for engineering, you can still be a creative, but if you take creative, then you can't be an engineer. You know, that kind of thing.
That's a really good way to phrase it, actually.
Like one gives you kind of both options, maybe less on the creative side, but I think you can somehow still substitute that. But
then again, I feel like I'm kind of, because it's gonna come to a point where it's like, am I just doing this for security, or am I just like, or am I really like actually interested in it? And who knows, I could literally die the second that I finish my engineering degree or whatever. Like right about the time I want to transition into my art thing. You know, and it's like it doesn't make sense to me.
And then you wouldn't have felt like you lived a good life because you wouldn't have felt fulfilled. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. So I'm not gonna lie to myself anymore. I'm just gonna go along with the art thing. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good idea. Security is good, especially in this world we live in this economy. You know.
Yeah.
It's not great for the artists out here, but
it's rough.
But then again, like, I remember during the you remember SteamCon, right?
Yeah.
So there's this one guy, Benji Reed. He's an artist.
Photographer.
Photo something.
What's his name?
Benji Reed. Benji.
He came to the
Reed.
school.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, he was really cool guy.
I remember.
And I told him about the art STEM thing, when it's like, is it either or, that kind of thing. And he said that the guy who drives down in this really expensive car, do you remember who that is? No, you don't. But the person whose art lives past them, you remember who they are, you know? True. And it's like, I don't like.
So I see what you mean. Basically, like if there's a famous, like if there's a person as an engineer,
or like
who has been very successful, and therefore
financially.
he drives financially, and therefore he
finance.
But you have to be also successful in like your business otherwise. But yeah, financially, then of course it's nice. But if you're an artist successful, highly successful like Picasso,
you'll be remembered
you
forever.
Talk about him today.
Yeah, like I feel art lives on past, and that's one thing.
So is it important for you that you leave something behind?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I don't want to, because this was like I'm only 18, and this has been the most stressful like experience of my life.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine people who are 19, you know?
Yeah.
But it's like, it's so, after all this, I feel like it would be a disservice to not just me, but like the world, if I don't leave something behind. Because like, was there any proof of my existence if I don't leave something behind?
I mean, you always kind of leave something behind.
Yeah, but it fades away, just like that.
No, but
I don't remember my great grandfather. Nobody does.
Yeah. I'm sorry I keep coming back to this, but also like if you do engineering, that you could like, you know, you can make an invention that could change the world. And like, for example, I don't know, like somebody invented like, for example, like a bolt, right?
And what?
But like a screw, like
yeah.
But no, like, but you want to be, you want. Is it important that your name is associated like with the paintings, for example?
I don't care if my name is associated with any paintings, as
exactly.
long as
Isn't it the same? Isn't it then similar that engineering can you are able to make a lasting impact?
But the thing is, when you're an engineer, like, because it's so like, so many people are engineers and nobody knows what they're like doing. They're doing something that help, like every single person is contributing to creating this one thing, you know? Yeah. And it's like, okay, yeah, but it's like mindless work, in my opinion. Maybe if you enjoy it, if you then...
Yeah, I think the discussion also has to do with like the way in which you see creation.
Yeah,
so we're talking about
values,
we're talking about how like it can either happen on an individual level versus like collective. So I would say like when you talk about like a group of like thousands of engineers maybe working under like the same umbrella, you might not see them on an individual level, but then when like an artist reaches, like is able to reach you emotionally on an individual scale, it's more significant in the long term. And I kind of low-key agree with, like I value art quite a lot, like in all of its forms, in the sense of like how it gets to like, it sounds cliche, bro, but like it does like, you know, get to your feelings in a way. And I think that's very unique and it should not be like undermined, you know what I mean?
I think one thing we're doing right now is that we're kind of limiting art to like paint on like a paper.
Yeah.
I feel like you can change the world or make a huge impact, probably even more than an engineer could with art. Look at books that are written, look at music that is made, look at, you know, like even like literal art pieces, look at poetry, look at anything literary, you know. All these things have contributed to a lot of things that have happened in the world today, and why the world is a little bit better in some like aspects than it was, say, like 50 years ago. Books that have been written, there's a reason why there's some books that are banned because of the kind of impact that they're able to have. Some music isn't available to listen to in some areas of the world because of the impact that they could have. There's some, people who are literally arrested for the music that they make or the paintings that they do and stuff like that. A lot of people do like activism through art and through like music and stuff like that. And that's such a big impact because, you can make stuff for people to use. But then again, a lot of the art that people make preserve lives, It's interesting to me. Like, there's so many ways you can like make an impact in this world besides making a screwdriver, Michael Machinga.
But I think like what it's like the most interesting part is like the overlap maybe between, or what I find interesting in some artists, or like Virgil Abloh, like there's like an overlap really between knowledge in science and STEM, and then
it's the same with Steve Jobs actually.
Well, but Steve Jobs, I feel like
he's also some kind of artist.
And he was a like I think like 100%. where you can have the most impact, I feel like, is at the intersection of art and science.
Okay, definitely. Like on their own, they do pretty cool stuff. But then again, together, it's
even
like
better.
Yeah, technology
insane.
and art, I guess, is some of the really. I mean, in some way, shape, or form, you could also argue that, like ChatGPT is some way of art.
I mean,
that's different though, because like you can't compare the emotional effect that like a piece of work can have on someone, and then like how ChatGPT makes like text.
I mean, ChatGPT is just for like like efficiency, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean,
but there's no.
I mean, I would argue
life. That's what happens.
No,
there's no life to it.
I would argue too that ChatGPT is not an artwork, but I think some people might interpret it as an artwork, because also like at the beginning, obviously, when like I don't know when an iPad or an iPhone was made, it also didn't strike you immediately as art. Yeah. But to the producer it might be.
Oh yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, to different people, different things are considered as art.
Yeah.
You know. True. But then again, like, we also have to recognize the impact that a lot of these, like, for example, AI art generators or ChatGPT. I mean, ChatGPT, like, honestly, I use ChatGPT, so I'm not complaining. But then again, like, AI art, it's kind of, because a lot of things you can do with, because there's so much more things you can do with AI now. And this world is very, like, production based and efficiency obsessed. It's kind of like, okay, we can save money by using these AI stuff instead of using real people who, you know, go to school for this and have learned how to master these arts and stuff like that. And it's like the Industrial Revolution again, but for computers, you know?
Yeah.
Like how, if you look around, we're like, a lot of people say, oh yeah, why don't we have buildings like this anymore? Like the really cool buildings with the nice, you know,
curves,
the curves and stuff like that. Why is everything so uniform? It's because, and I saw this on an Instagram post, so you know, it's because when the steam engine was created, that everything was like so easy to mass produce. So instead of, and this was the example the lady used, she said, instead of hiring a glass blower who, you know, mastered the whole art of making glass, you know, like stained glass and stuff like that, they would, because it was much cheaper, they would just use the steam engine and hire somebody to run the steam engine to blow the glass. And so everything's uniform. There's no art to it.
I get what you mean.
It's so lifeless.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So that's what's happening again, I guess. Okay. Just with computers.
But wait,
nobody needs humans again.
In IB visual arts, do you know how do they grade you? That's
okay, so
it has to be very subjective, I feel like.
I mean,
it's probably not, because there needs to be some sort of mark scheme, but
okay, so it's not really graded on how skillful you are.
Okay.
It's there's a bunch of like stuff. So first of all, you have your art, the actual art that's like what, like 60% of your grade.
So the work you produce.
The work you produce.
And it can be anything in any format.
Anything. The quality of the work you produce. But then again, so you have your comparative study, and then you have your process portfolio side. And your comparative study is pretty much you comparing 3 artists. It's pretty compact. It's really complicated. It's kind of boring, but it's like cool. And then you have your process portfolio, which documents the process of you making your art, the inspiration that you had before making the art, you're like the artists that you looked into. So you have to look into like a bunch of different artists to then.
So it's all about like so you show them the quality of the process, basically. Yeah,
pretty much. And that
the PP,
the PP
and the VJ,
yeah.
That's how they call the portfolio and the visual journal, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you were in my art class for like what, 2 seconds?
I took arts for like a month.
Oh, you did?
It was a whole month.
I changed it to economics.
Yeah, econ, bro. Yeah, same.
But I wish I did both. Low-key, like I'm really bad at arts though, because they really value the quality. I think like it's not only about the intention, and also you do every form of art. Like you do from like portraits and like painting to also like sculpture. And I don't know if I was.
Do you think anyone can get a 7 if they try hard enough in art? In
art, I mean, if you haven't
done art before,
there's like I swear like one person I know, at least one person.
Well, that's not a lot.
Who hasn't done art before and is doing art here, and they're pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like if your intentions are right, if you.
I mean, you also just need the skill.
I mean, yeah, definitely.
But do you think you can develop that kind of skill in 2 years? I mean, you started drawing when you were 6.
Well, I didn't say I was 6, but yeah, sure.
Yeah,
I've been drawing since I was born.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay. I thought you said 6. Sorry.
No, I had the Instagram when I was 11/12.
Okay.
What's the name of that?
I'm not gonna tell
you. People will find.
We'll link it. We'll link it.
If you ask Ilham,
oh, I'm on it.
You can ask Ilham, but she'll tell you.
Maybe when we talk about the IB.
Yeah.
Maybe we can switch a bit to AC as well, because as you said, it's been the 2 most stressful years of your life.
Oh yeah, definitely. This was like.
How has AC impacted you, and what do you think about the experience as a whole? Takeaways, improvements, maybe.
Okay.
Like overall, and now then we can dig into it.
So this has been simultaneously the best and the worst experience of my life.
Wow. Okay.
Just add on. You
elaborate.
You really use good English words.
Yeah. Okay. Like I don't know how to explain it. This was like, it's so, like I've never wanted to, like 2 years is enough. You know?
Exactly. That's why I started to feel right.
Yeah, like it's like short and sweet, but then again, it's not sweet. It's like sweet, but then sometimes it's like disgusting, horrifying, terrible. I want to kill myself.
But why? Because of the IB or?
No, it's just too much. Like too much in 2 years, you know?
Like too much
socially or academically?
No, everything. I've is it underwent?
Undergone.
Yeah, I've undergone like the most character development that I've had in like such a short amount of time, and I wouldn't trade this experience for the world. Like I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to honestly just be here, and because I don't think that I would have been able to like experience a school like this back home.
Yeah, I think a lot of people.
I think that's the case for so many people.
It's unique.
Yeah, it's really unique. And I wouldn't say it's necessarily for everyone, but even if it's not for you, somehow you grow into it, and then you outgrow it, which I have.
So you said you outgrew AC. Why is that?
Outgrown AC. Like, okay, when I first came here, I was so fascinated with how much I could do here, because like back home, it's very academic. There's like, okay, you go to school, and then you do more school after school, and then there's more, and then you do your homework, and then you study, and then you read a book for school, and then you go back the next day for school. It was so like, it was like very I have different. My friends back home, like I love them so much, but then again here it's so different.
You feel like it's more structured back home and that limits.
Oh yeah, but like if you're going. Okay, so it depends on your reason for coming here. If your reason for coming here is like academics, then this is the worst place for you because this place is like not.
You don't think physics was enough? Like
I love physics.
We do. All of us do.
We all love physics.
Yeah, we do.
Don't we?
Yes, we do.
We're in the same physics class.
Is it ironic? Yeah. Are you?
Definitely not. We will never. Now we love physics.
Yeah, it's so fun.
So you think like you've undergone a lot of like character development and you change your interests, the way you like put yourself out there maybe. Yeah. Do you think? I mean, because you said you've outgrown AC, which is super valid. I think many people kind of get tired and overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. But I mean, of course, you're gonna look back. What do you think you're gonna miss the most?
What am I gonna miss? I feel like I'm gonna. That's a really interesting question. I haven't really thought about what I'm. Oh, I know this one. I had a conversation with someone about this a few days ago. So we were all sitting down for iftar, and I loved, like, it was so nice how everyone was just like together.
Ramadan Mubarak.
Yeah. And
inshallah.
And I think one thing I would really miss here is the community and how it's like here. I don't know. It's like how.
I don't think we'll ever sense that type of community.
Yeah, like
again.
It's like, okay, you sit down for iftar and then you have like a move show, and then you have international show, and then you have like Western Europeans national evening, and then right after you have like, I don't know, like a conference, and then there's just so many things to do, and then there's drag show, and it's like there's like I really have never been to a place where people are so united and people actually like agree to do something and then they do it, you know?
Yeah, true. And it's also like you just have this special feeling.
Yeah.
Like also I realized this when like, I'm not gonna compliment this podcast, but it's true when you have conversation like these, you see what it's about. And you can have this conversation outside the podcast or whatever, but you really see the meaning and why you're here. Yeah. And the sense of community, like everyone somehow supports each other.
Yeah.
And it's just a feeling that you can't explain, but you feel it like in your body or whatever. You feel just feel this momentum that's going on, and that's really special.
Yeah, it's so special.
Like that momentum feeling. Like for example, when I first arrived, I remember we had this like the introduction ceremony, whatever you call it. And I remember Move performing, and I was genuinely surprised by how many people stood up. Like I feel like you were all kind of shy, standing back, but then like our second years immediately stood up and like made this like atmosphere. That was really special because I thought, wow, what the hell's going on, And I think those things, you also see when national evenings, if they're good, but also if they're bad, people still like applause and are really hyped for them and appreciate people's works, and that's I think also very, very special.
The community here is amazing. And how, I don't know, but we've all collectively agreed that there's issues with this place.
Yeah.
Like any place
like
does.
Any place.
No, it's no perfect.
Yeah, and that we're so able to talk about it. Even like the picture of him who shall not be named. Yeah. His in the Great Hall, and how people have constantly had conversations about it and saying why it's not right that he should be represented in the Great Hall without, accurately
picture of like a plaid or whatever.
Of what he's done. Like, you're a very, very big contributor to the UWC movement. Great. But then again, should that excuse all the terrible things that you've done in the past? Yeah. No. God, no. We should talk about it,
Yeah, which we've done.
Exactly. And that's what I love about this place. The conversations that I've had with people, the community that's here, how people will literally say, I'm going to do this and then do it, The fact that we have, like, my favorite performance so far was drag show.
This year or last year?
This year.
Well done, congrats. It was amazing. Like what you did, because you performed.
Yeah, it was quite cool.
Really good.
It was good movement there. Because we also know that you never danced before AC.
Yeah, how do you know that?
We know.
Yeah, I didn't dance before AC.
So that was kind of that.
That's surprising. I feel like, I mean, none of us have danced before AC, and if we try to dance, It's pretty
It wouldn't be
atrocious.
No,
It's
no,
pretty
I
atrocious.
I wouldn't want to go on the stage with you. I feel
Yeah.
like I would look a lot worse. No, but you're right. I feel like the conversations you have here about maybe things that you couldn't speak about earlier or that you were afraid to speak out
Yeah.
before in other places, they're so right to speak about. And I definitely, like last year, when I look back, I learned a lot from conversations that I had that were, partially, of course, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it's true. Like when you're out of your comfort zone, when you learn most, I guess.
Yeah.
And when that happens, we learn a lot. And I think this place puts you in that position where you're outside the comfort zone. And that's where you really, really learn.
Yeah.
And I think this place has put me there multiple times.
Multiple.
And
yeah.
I think every
feeling.
time I learned something with it. And that's, I think, really special.
Yeah, it's really special. Yeah. I love learning. It's so fun.
Yeah. And do you know where you want to go in the future? Because I heard
Yeah.
America or something like that.
Yeah, the plan is kind of the U.S. for school. They have great scholarships there.
True.
Yeah, so.
But aren't you scared of the country? Because I'm low-key like...
I mean, like, to be fair, every place in this world has something wrong with it.
That is true.
There's
And
something
you could be run over by the car when you walk outside the house.
Yeah, yeah. That's what my
It's-
dad told me. Like,
That's
he
what my
said-
told me to. That told me
yeah,
too.
he's like, he says, okay, this is the analogy that my dad gives all the time. He says, if you're afraid of driving because you could potentially get in a car crash, you could sit in your house and a plane would literally crash into your house.
Yeah.
That could happen.
Yeah.
Literally.
Or on asteroid. You never know.
Or you could like walk down the stairs and
then
fall
and
and
break
die.
your neck. Yeah, no,
you
it's if you gotta get out
Yeah, everything is potentially dangerous. Maybe some places it's more riskier
than others.
than other places,
Fair enough.
But then again, like, I don't know. The thing with the US, it's a topic that's
Yeah, I don't
weird.
No, I because
Yeah.
I'm going there next year, and I don't know if I would necessarily like, have family there.
Yeah.
But I think for studying, like, it's a different story. Maybe I think for students, in a way, like the opportunities you can get and the environment itself it's.
I mean,
quite nice.
it is I think like what it says, the American dream and all those things. I mean, like for students, it's still alive. If you're a student there, I think you have a great student life, and it gives you great opportunities for the future. If that future then holds America or not, I think is to be seen. Especially, what happens in the near future.
For
I
legal
think with
reasons,
a big impact on the people.
for legal reasons concerning my future, I will choose not to. I will refrain from speaking about the United States of America in this podcast in case it is used against me in court.
Oh,
Fair enough.
But like
Fair enough.
after this podcast, we can have
We
a
can-
conversation about
you can
my
spill.
thoughts
All right.
towards
I would love to have that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you don't get turned around
Yeah,
on the
so-
border.
The
Yeah.
way the way I see this is like, if you cannot beat them, you gotta join them. With that mentality,
that's not the best. That's not the
Yeah,
best
that's-
mentality.
let the
not the
record show-
best, but
Let
it
the
is
record show
true.
that when Teo said that, I looked away. I covered my ears and I
Yeah.
La, la,
you
la, la,
don't- you didn't
yeah.
hear it.
I
Okay.
didn't say
Okay.
anything.
And so our final signature question of the podcast.
Yes.
Do you know it? Do you know what the signature question
I'm
is?
so sorry.
Oh, yeah,
I should
well,
know.
that's
I should know.
unfortunate.
I've watched like
Wow.
2.5, 1.5 episodes. I'm so sorry.
So that's all right. So what is your definition of success?
What is my definition of success? My definition of success is to be able to sit down at some point in my life and rest without being guilty. I think that's pretty good success.
That's pretty deep.
That's
Yeah.
pretty good. That's
It's interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just
Well-
came up with that on the spot.
Yeah,
Well,
but that
you're
works.
Very wise.
I'm
On
very
that
wise,
note,
thank
I'm
you.
looking forward to the book.
Yeah. Thank you, Ayo, so
Mhm.
much for coming today.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And thank you everyone else for listening.
Thank you so much.
See you in the
Unfortunately,
next one.
again in our makeshift studio, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
See you in the
get-
next one.
Yeah,
Imagine
Bye-bye.
if nothing recorded. Oh my god.
it's all right.
That would be terrible.
Bye bye.
Bye. Peace. Deuces.